Welcome to my parlor. Welcome, traveler, to the Hidden Corner Finds. I am Joanne, and this is my humble store. Pull up a chair, stay a while, make yourself at home. What? Oh, you want to know what I'm selling? Everything and anything. In short, I have a passion for Ugh, why did it just bleep me? All I said was I have a passion for picking, I said. Yeesh. You can't say anything on YouTube these days without this censorship. Anyways, as I was saying, I have a passion for picking. For me, there is nothing more satisfying than finding a unique and forgotten item and uniting it with someone who will really appreciate it for years to come. Whether it's a soapstone carving, an old book, or simply a mug to make you laugh, I try and find something for everyone. My goal is to make you a confident buyer. Older items often have a lifetime of stories to tell. I strive to describe the good as well as the bumps and bruises they've experienced along the way. It's important that the pictures reflect what you will receive. To that end, I always encourage questions and will do my best to respond as quick as possible. Appreciate you stopping by the store. If you can't find what you're looking for, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm always looking for new ideas and will keep an eye out for your item in my travels.
God damn it! Honey, what the happened to my action figure collection?
Whoops, gotta go. Bye.
Hello and welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger on November 7, 2024. Today we are opening the show with Killer Croc from Batman. Why are we opening the show with Killer Croc? Well, because we are going to be looking at something that he fights, or he claims to have fought quite often. We're going to be looking at the alligator. Now, when I was a child, I had a lot of alligator toys, very similar to what we'll be looking at today. However, they were cheap and more simple and not as detailed, but they were big. I remember I had a alligator toy that was hollow inside and could float in water, and it was like I don't know. Back when I was a child, it felt like it was 3 feet long, but I'm sure it wasn't that big. But it was big and heavy. Not the kind of thing that was very good to hit other children with, I can tell you that. Um, so what we are going to be looking at today is a Rebor American Alligator. Okay, the company name is Rebor, and this is a model, not an action figure, but a model of an American alligator. And this thing is quite large and quite detailed. However, it is from their Grab and Go line, which means it's a budget line. So it is hollow inside, which sounds kind of horrible, but when you actually handle this toy, it's not bad. It's not bad. I had a lot of reservation in the beginning, but once I got it in hand, I was pretty happy with it. So, without further ado, let's take a look at our alligator in its packaging. Definitely seems like Aslan really enjoys the bubble wrap on this action figure. There's no box, no cardboard, it's just wrapped in bubble wrap and secured with a few labels so you can see what it is. Once you take it out of the bubble wrap, it is in two pieces, and I suggest you use a hair dryer to heat it up so you can plug the tail onto the gator. Otherwise, it will be very, very difficult. Now, here is our alligator out of the package, and keep in mind this thing is hollow inside, so I can't really squeeze it, but I mean I can on the tail a little bit. Like there's definitely flex to it, uh, so you can tell that it's hollow in there, and the head kind of, yeah, you can squish the head. I mean it's a really solid plastic on the outside, so it's not it's not as cheap as I thought it was going to be. the toys I had when I was a child. They were probably this size or bigger, but they were definitely very soft, easy to squish. This has a definite solidity to it. And just look at how well sculpted this thing is. Uh, this is about 2 feet long and about 4 inches high at the shoulder. The muscular details on the legs, the bottom of the feet, the claws, it's all really well done. Okay, there's no articulation, sadly, but honestly, do you really need something like this to have articulation? I mean, for me, it's good enough to have a giant alligator to go after my other action figures. Maybe I would have preferred if the mouth could open. At this, the jaw is stuck in this closed position, which I guess is realistic. I mean, out there in the wild, how often do you see animals have their jaw hang open? Most of the time, they're going to have their mouth closed, right? But just for photography and display purposes, I wish the mouth could open, or at least maybe they could have given us a second head option with an open mouth because, I mean, this is not cheap. This is a $50 toy. It's $50. It's all hollow inside. So you would think that maybe they could have included an alternative head. Now you can really see how big it is posting up on this case of Dr. Pepper. I'm not advertising Dr. Pepper, by the way. They didn't pay me for this, but this gator perched on top of the case of soda really gives you an idea of how big this is. We'll do more size comparison with other stuff later, but this is a pretty good indication of the size. Now, I want to say this before I forget. Because it's hollow inside, you probably don't want to use hot water to warm it up when you attach the tail. Otherwise, you might end up having it grow mold inside. It will be very difficult to dry it out. So if you need to soften up the plastic to attach the tail, which you probably will, I tried with all my might to like push the tail in, and it just wasn't going to work. So I had to hit it with a hair dryer for about 20 seconds before the tail would finally pop in. So use a hair dryer. Try not to put it in hot water because it will retain a lot of water inside. There's really not a heck of a lot I can tell you about this gator, or not a lot I can talk about it, um, other than giving you a rundown of American alligator in general in real life. Their range is mostly around Alabama, Louisiana, Florida, and some parts of Texas. The male alligator can grow up to 15 feet, although most of them are a bit smaller than that. They are opportunistic carnivores that usually are shy um, from contact with humans, but when provoked, they can be deadly serious predators. As far as realism goes, this thing is very realistic. I felt real alligators in the past. I felt stuffed alligator, taxidermic alligator, and even live ones before. And this is realistic enough that if you take me into a room and you put my hand on this, I would, unless I pick it up, okay? If I pick it up, I know it's plastic. But if I just put my hand on this, I would think, well, is this a real one? It definitely feels real. Um, Now, the snout seems a little bit too short, and the eyes seem to be a little bit on the small side. So I don't know if that's just me thinking too much into it, or maybe we have an alligator expert in the audience. You guys can let me know too. With that, let's look at some quick photos, close-up shots of this amazing scaly beastie. before we come back to wrap up the video. Now, you can't really call this an action figure, of course, because it doesn't really have any articulation. However, it is a really big toy of an alligator that is well painted, well crafted. All the scales and details are really well made. And if you just have this on the table, some people might mistaken it to be a taxidermic real alligator. That's how realistic this is. And the texture is just amazing when you touch it. So it is a pretty cool thing to have. Like I said, there's really not a heck of a lot I can say about this. It's $50, and you get a 24-inch alligator. That is probably the largest alligator toy at this range that you're going to encounter. It is bigger than most, like the other brand, like Schleich and Imaginex and those stuff, and PayPal and those brands, and uh, it is very detailed looking. So if you want a giant alligator to terrorize your action figure, I say giant alligator because this technically is in the 1/6 scale. So when I use it for my 1/12 scale action figure, like my 6-inch, 7-inch guy, this thing going to be huge. This is going to be like a dinosaur. But that's exactly what I want. Like, having a giant alligator to terrorize my GI Joes or to go after Spider-Man or something like that. This is just so much fun uh, with something like this. It doesn't have to be too small. Too big is not a problem in this case. Well, it's a problem if you have problem displaying it because this will take up a lot of shelf space because of how long it is. But on photography set and on your backdrops, this will be an awesome addition for your characters to have to battle. Just imagine having this fighting uh, someone in a boat, like maybe the Fortnite motorboat or something like that. In the following shots where we do size comparison, I put in the GI Joe Baroness on the motorcycle, so you can get a good look at how big this gator is comparing to even the action figure on the vehicle. Even comparing against dinosaurs and stuff like that, it's a really good sized toy. So is it overpriced at $50? I would say yes, because it is hollow inside. It doesn't have articulation and it doesn't come with any extra body parts. But not as crazy as one might have thought. Like at first, when I heard that this was a hollow toy on the inside and there's no articulation, I was thinking, what the hell? $50? Maybe it should be $15. That should be more like it. But now that I have it in my hand, I say, well, $50 is still a little overpriced, but if this was 35 or 40, it would be exactly perfect. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Now we'll look at some final photos of size comparison, and as usual, thank you for checking out my Toy Thursday video. It is good to be back. To put it in perspective, our cat Aslan is a 15-pound boy. By no means small, but this gator makes him look small. Heck, it makes my arm look small and I have big arms. So it is a $50 toy, but even though it's kind of pricey, it is a really well made, really large alligator that can terrorize your action figures on their watery river adventures. You can fit this into a lot of displays. So in the end, I think it's really well worth it and probably the largest alligator of this type that you can get at this price point.